Hi and welcome. Today I have a art tag for you. I start out with a Bristol Smooth paper art tag that I've cut on my Cricut, but you use whatever art tag you have, either make it, they're easy to make. Um, they're readily available at most art supplies or online. Um, I am going to stamp. I have this new stamp set that I recently purchased. It's called Etcetera. And so I'm taking a different stamp and I'm only inking the center or the bottom portion of it. I don't want the big band around the top or the left, so I only inked with Versamark what I wanted to emboss. So, yeah, there you see me only doing that one section, and I'm just kind of touching it down and pressing it with my hand. I'm going to be embossing with some antique linen embossing glaze. And I didn't use my little static thing, which I normally do on my tags because they were cut on a sticky surface on my Cricut. So I did that after I've inked it, but I can always wipe it off if it doesn't work out, but I think it's still going to be okay. And it is. So I'm going to emboss that with my heat tool. I usually do my embossing first because it sticks to so much that if you do anything else first, you're going to have to wait a long time for it to completely dry. I'm going to add some distress inks and I'm going to do speckled egg, which my speckled egg is almost out. I mean, I have to really make an effort to get anything out of it. So I will be ordering that, but I'm just putting that in the center to give a light blue center, and then I'll be making things a little bit darker on the outsides. So I'm starting with broken china. Which I will also be ordering next because that one's getting to the point where it's hard to get it out. And you'll notice the darker I go, the more you can see the antique linen embossing glaze. I'm not real worried about making sure it's nicely blended smooth yet because I will be adding um, a couple more darker blues. Next up will be Stormy Sky, and then after that, Faded Jeans. Oh, that's right. First, I'm going to splatter, do a little splatter with water. I use my fan brush to get a lighter splatter. And I let it sit just for a minute before I roll it off. And you can see the little splats that are there. I'm going to be doing some texture paste. And this, I got this stencil from Simon Says Stamp. I don't remember whose it was. I'll try to figure it out and have it linked in the description. I thought it was going to be really a nice stamp, but it's really kind of hard to use. Unless you're doing the whole thing with those branches. But I'm taping off right now. I'm a little off camera, but I'm taping off the sections that I want to make sure I don't get. And I'm just going to use regular opaque texture paste. And that's a Distress Tim Holtz product. And I'm just smoothing it out with my palette knife. And peeling it back. Now that goes directly into a bath water, and I clean it off, and then I'm putting it back into position because I'm going to add, it's dry, so I let it dry. I'll clean the stencil in between time, and now I'm going to be adding some ink, and I was going to use that blending tool, and then I thought, well, I think it's better off doing it with the blending brush. I mean, I know it's better in texture paste because crackle can really destroy your blending brush, your blending tool. But these are really good because it just kind of goes in the crevices and everything. And so I just thought I'd do it on this, even though it's not crackle. And using a stencil to cover up the rest of the area just makes it really easy to add ink, or if you're going to add any embossing, you should have done it when it was wet, but going to do a little bit of splattering. Can use my fan brush again just to get light splatters. This brush is really good for adding white splatters, like if you wanted a snowy sky or raindrops. Now I'm adding vintage photo to the edges, but I will be adding walnut stain later because at this point I really hadn't known I was going to be adding the darker blues. I had thought this might be good enough, but as I get there, as in a lot of things, you look at it and like, I think it needs more. One thing more I'm doing is I'm using the stencil from Tim Holtz and some stormy sky and just adding some of these, I'm not sure what they're called. They're like, I think very medieval when I see them. But I'm just adding the, I don't know if they're crosses or stars or what they are considered to be. It's one of my favorites, actually. And I just wanted a subtle appearance of them. And so, yeah, you can see them in the background, but they don't like just jump out at you. And that's when I decide, okay, I'm going to add some darker blues around the edge. So I start with stormy sky and then I go to faded jeans. And you wouldn't think it, but I do add stormy sky to the branch, and I think it helped make it a little more smoky with the brown. I end up really liking the color. Now I'm adding faded jeans, which is a little bit darker blue. I could have gone even darker, but decide that is dark enough, and hence I need to now darken up my very immediate edge because the vintage photo just is not going to cut it now. See how you can see the embossing a lot better in the darker colors? And so I get the walnut stain out just to do the edge again. And now I'm going to start collaging. I have this little crowned bird. I just loved it. And I always go overboard. I bought like 3 different digital files of crowned birds. I mean, when am I ever going to use that many? I don't know, but you're going to see crowned birds now and then. And in the background was some interesting texture. So I just have some that was big enough that I could punch some holes out or circles out. So that's from the original background of the digital file. And I'm also adding this, looks like it would be a paper strip, but it's not. It's from a background from Tim Holtz. And I used a swirly or a curvy measuring, like a measuring tape, not measuring tape, a ruler, and cut it swirly. It's not swirly, wavy. And then the 5 is digital. So everything but the border strip is digital. The portion that the bird is standing on was part of the original download. And because it was like a deeper blue, I didn't think it was necessary to cut between the feet or between the feet and the tail because it just went almost the same exact background. I'm going to trim that little spot, and whenever I trim off like that, I want to make sure that I'm not leaving a white edge there. So I add, I'm not sure if that's vintage photo or walnut stain, doesn't really matter, it's just a tiny little bit. And the only thing left to do is my ribbon. I'm using some rayon seam binding. I got mine off Amazon. I do have a link to it in my Amazon storefront. Doesn't cost you a penny more, but I get a small commission from it. But I like it because it keeps the color really well, and it gets a real crinkle to it. And I like those things about it. I'm going to be using, I think, Stormy Sky or Faded Jeans. I'm trying to remember. It's pretty dark. I bet you it's Faded Jeans. And then I'm going to use old paper. So depending on how much you want of each one, maybe you start with just a little of one color and add more, or maybe if you want a lot of that color, you do mostly that color and then add a little of the other. It's whatever look you're going for. So I'm going to dry it up and put it on, and that will be it. If you have not subscribed yet, I invite you to do that. If you like this piece, go ahead and give me a thumbs up or leave me a comment. I'd appreciate that. Otherwise, I've got some final pictures coming up, and so stay tuned for those, but have an awesome day.